Okay, greetings, brothers and sisters. Today is Wednesday, January 14th. This is the beginning of a video that will be up on Friday morning. There'll be nothing on Thursday as per usual. And there was we were watching that a great Netflix show about autistic dating show. And there was one of the autistic kids said, per usual, which was funny because, it's a very pop culture saying. So this video in the beginning, well, I don't know what's going to happen later on, is going to be about what a piece of shit Charlie Kirk is. And figuring out who his killers are or whatever happened with him, you have to factor that in. Like, you can't pretend that he was a martyr. You can't pretend he was a spiritual person. You can't pretend he was a good person. And you can't pretend he was having a positive effect on the world. And so we'll get into that. Now this stuff with Candace Owens and Erika Kirk, it's become about them, right? It's become about everything but the fact that Charlie Kirk was a piece of shit and this whole thing was a failed, a negative thing. TPUS gay is a negative thing, and Charlie Kirk, it had reached its, apotheosis of, whatever it is. I'll explain this all in a bit. And so, I had a wonderful night's sleep last night. And so, I was watching a basketball game, and, Peacock and NBC have bought rights to the NBA away from TNT, which I didn't think was going to be a big deal. But, I know sports are rigged to whatever extent, but they do play a game. It's like, it's a little bit complex, but it is whatever it is. But it's something I can watch mindlessly. I used to play a lot of basketball, and I, enjoy watching basketball sometimes, but only when I can rewind and fast forward, and I can, if a game's a blowout, or I could just go through the game. I skip commercials, and I skip all the foul shooting and all the downtime, and I could watch it in a shorter period of time if it's a good game, and if not, I can change to something else. But Peacock puts these games up and doesn't let you even pause, never mind rewind and fast forward. And they don't even have commercials, and they just have this frozen screen, because I don't know if they were too cheap to buy all the rights, or I don't know what the fuck they're doing, right? So I took a nap yesterday, and I figured I was going to be up late. I wanted to watch the Warriors game, but it was on fucking Peacock. So I looked for something else to watch, like on Netflix, that I could go back and forth between. Because, I have a button on my remote for Netflix and Amazon, right? So those are for the TV, so those are the quickest. And so I started watching this movie, and I didn't even know the name of it. It's supposed to be an action movie featuring there was some kind of description about a cult. And I started watching. I knew it was going to suck immediately. But this girl was running away from home, and then she got picked up by a woman, and she said this was the first love of my life. And I'm like, oh, it's another fucking lesbian movie, right? Another lesbian TV show movie. This is a movie. And I'm like, this is the year of the lesbian shows. And I really loved Pluribus. Pluribus is one of my favorite shows, and I look forward to it continuing. And that actress did a great job. She's won some awards. My wife and I had really enjoyed the show on Apple TV. And the main character is a lesbian, but it makes sense. It's and my past experience with lesbians has been all positive. I had a couple lesbian bosses, of all the people and of all the demographics in the LBGTQ. I think the one that most resonates with my lifestyle and who I am as a person is the lesbian group, right? And that's, not all these people are the same, not all, but it's, the more quieter, introverted, low drama, it's the lowest drama of any of the groups, on the alphabet spectrum. But I've noticed that there was all these, shows now featuring lesbians. And before there was always a gay dude. They were putting gay dudes everywhere. And then it was the transgenders. It was like, all right, let's throw transgender characters anywhere we can. But now all of a sudden, the lesbians were like, hey, we're not getting enough love. And I don't know how even Hollywood this stuff goes around Hollywood, but it's like let's greenlight everything with a lesbian in it, like that kind of thing. So then I switch over to a show called something like The Beast Within with Claire Danes, who looks very much like a dude now, and she's a lesbian. Like, like holy shit, right? And so, but that's a much better show, and it's kind of interesting. It's suspenseful, and there's a scene in the very first episode where she goes to meet this billionaire neighbor that she's going to have. That's where he's like maybe he's possibly killed his ex-wife, and she goes to meet the guy, and the guy's wife answers the door because his dogs have been showing up at her place, and she's like a quiet, introverted, writer, and she's getting like all like the guy's alarms going off, and she's just like over this neighbor. He's only been there a couple days. And she goes over, she's kind of irritated, and the woman says, "Why don't you come in?" And she goes, "No, I don't want, I just want to leave." And the other woman says, "Well, I insist." And I haven't heard that saying in a while. And Claire Danes capitulates and goes in. And I'm like, what do you mean you insist, right? Was like that's just something they used to say all the time. Well, I insist. Come into my house, I'm going to tie you up and verbally berate you. No, no thanks. I want to go on my way. Oh, I insist. Oh, okay, I guess the guy, well, if you insist, right? Well, if you fucking insist, like, that somebody would say that, right? Like, you want to do whatever you want to do, and someone says, no, I insist. What do you mean you insist? What the fuck that mean? Oh, you're invoking the I insist privilege? Like, nobody can resist that, right? And so, I thought about this for quite a bit. I forgot all about the basketball game, but I was just like thinking about this thing. And then, weird stuff that used to be a thing and now it's not, but then it showed back up again. So anyways, the point of this thing was this. I was feeling incredibly restless. Like since I've been doing the Sajmark meditation, there'll be times where I'll get angry, restless, and frustrated. Restlessness is it's one of the four conditions at a spiritual, restlessness is actually supposed to be a good thing. Because it indicates a need to move forward on your spiritual condition. But like when you're meditating and you feel restless, and it can get fucking. I mean, like an hour meditation can seem like 2 days of torture. I mean, and there'll be times I feel like I'm crawling out of my skin, like just fidgeting like a kid, just really restless and whatever. And I started to feel restless and agitated, and it's usually just something that's happened internally. It's not because of anything that's going on. And one of my viewers had talked about a homeopathic remedy she was taking to eliminate parasites. And I looked it up. I felt some energy, like I'll feel something about it, like, oh, this might be a good thing. And homeopathic remedies are either liquid and it's like nothing, or they're little sugar pills, and they work on a vibratory level. And they're really working. They're the essence of the essence of the essence of something. And there's also this stuff called Bach flowers, which is similar. And they really are. They're always a big thing in the Sajmark system, especially homeopathic remedies, because they work on a vibratory level. But it's like a hit or miss, because it's like taking nothing. It's taking these little sugar pills, that are, like for example, to make a homeopathic remedy of allergens. Let's say you have environmental allergies. And again, I'm not recommending things. This is just, information. There's, some person said this is what they do. They would take a wet organic cloth and put it on a clothesline and have it be wet. Like just keep it, make it really wet, like not like it just came out of the washing machine, but like, with water kind of dripping off of it and leave it there for a day or two, and it would absorb all the allergens, environmental allergens. And then they would take the cloth and soak it in water, get all the stuff that it absorbed. And then they just boil it fucking forever until it's just the essence of the essence of the things. And it's supposed to work out of like a vibration level, right? This kind of thing. And so the person wrote that this thing worked to expel parasites without turning them into toxins. And I can't, I go back and find the comment, but it's not, that's basically what they said. And so, and then I looked up the remedy, and it said it's for restlessness and a few other things that sometimes I experience. And sometimes when I'm going to sleep, I I'd been taking a lot of naps, and then I'll have trouble going to sleep later. And I took like a really big nap yesterday, like sometimes after I do the cold bath or whatever. And so, I forgot to take the REM. I took it with my wife, and I took some for the, we're working on this parasite thing. And then I forgot to take it yesterday, and maybe the day before. And I was going to take it in the morning and then at night, particularly at night. And I was sitting there watching this TV show in the basketball game, and I was just really restless. And I remembered the remedy, and I took it. And then I started to get drowsy, like almost immediately. I'm taking these little sugar pills, and it's just, and it was much earlier than I thought I was going to go to bed, so I turned off the TV. And it's a very intense show, like it's the music and the thing. It's like a suspense show, which, Anyways, so I go to do that, and I just fell asleep almost immediately. And I slept like I haven't slept in like years. I get good night's sleep, but this was like incredible. So I'm ready to go today. Is this what I'm saying? Like I'm just very clear. I woke up and I had a great meditation afterwards, and so that's where I'm at with all this stuff. So let's get into it here. Okay, so to really fully let's dive into the Charlie Kirk thing, right? So here is this is part of it.
The next generation of young people won't remember October 7th in the same way. That's true in Israel and in America and broadly in the world. And we need to make sure two things. One, it's not that we don't forget. We need to make sure that the story is told properly so that when the history books write this, they don't write about the victims of Gaza, right? They
Woo!
can't, the history.
Woo! You believe this motherfucker, right?
And it's, I should be a little more precise. There were victims in Gaza, right? It's true. There are civilian casualties in every war that's ever been fought. But the victims were the people of the nation state of Israel. The aggressor was the Iranian regime in the proxy of Hamas. And we need to make sure that the history books reflect that. And that requires each of us every day to talk about it in real time with our children, with our...
Okay, so this is indoctrination, right? And it's lies. This is not true at all. We know it's lies because, we just know it's lies. But here's a way to validate it. Like, I don't need, so-called facts. I just need my heart. I just need my, connection to divinity. Because from divinity, you can know all truth, right? Like, trying to figure out the truth through facts and narratives and people's stories and all the bullshit that happens on the material world is almost impossible. It's really impossible. It's just, and using your mind and your limited capacity. But the truth always comes from God. So your connection to God will reveal the truth. But, you have to be clean. Like you have to be internally clean, and you have to, you have to cultivate this skill, and it takes discipline and, whatever it is, right? And you have to be able to accept what God tells you. And so very few people can do that because they're too subjective in their worldview. They have a lens of prejudice that prevents them from seeing that. But, we all know this is bullshit, right? And it's a game they've been running for a long time, and it works with dumb fucks, and it works with sheeple, but it's not working anymore. And one of the reasons we would know it factually, to confirm what we know spiritually, is this. So this is Dave Smith and Josh Hammer, and this is Charlie Kirk. And this is the debate they had. Let's just play this part here.
Knowledge of international law 101 would have been able to tell you that. So that is where this goes.
But again, it's just you pivot to blaming Hamas, and they're the ones who aren't pro-life, as if I was making the claim that Hamas is pro-life. I'm criticizing Benjamin Netanyahu for funding and propping up this horrific terrorist organization. So how are you in one breath going to talk about how terrible they are and then completely remove culpability from the guy who kept them in power intentionally?
I am curious. Got it.
Okay, so I'm not sure they talked about this earlier, but this is what Dave Smith has said over and over again. And Josh Hammer didn't dispute it, and Charlie Kirk didn't dispute it because it was written in multiple magazines. And Benjamin Netanyahu went to his party, whatever it is, Josh Hammer talked about, Dave Smith talked about it here. That he has a political party. And he went to them and said, we have to fund Hamas. And Dave Smith talks about this extensively, about how I mean, these articles were written by Israeli newspapers and these things, that what his point, Benjamin Netanyahu's point was, they don't want a two-state solution. And the way not to get a two-state solution was to keep a terrorist organization in power. And so as long as they didn't have a legitimate government in Gaza Strip, then Hamas would prevent a two-state solution. No one's going to agree to a two-state solution if the government in Hamas in the Gaza Strip was Hamas, right? But it's more than that. Like, they won't go as far as I would go, and logic would be there. Logic would support this, that they're funding Hamas as a way to do what all the things they do. Hamas does everything that Israel wanted, right? Israel wanted Gaza, and Hamas provided the catalyst, which was October 7th, right? So Hamas is a controlled asset of Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu. And that is the only logical explanation. And before I knew this factually from from Dave Smith, here, these other places, I knew it because it's just logical. Like, why does Hamas always do what Israel wants them to do, right? If Israel has a goal, which is to take over the Gaza Strip, Hamas provides that for them. And so they can never get rid of Hamas because Hamas is their asset. The same way that ISIS and Al Qaeda were American assets, right? This is something that they do. It's an excuse to go in and create a war and to do a military operation. And so the argument here has always been that Hamas is the villain. Like, this is how the narrative will always be. But Hamas isn't the villain if Israel controls Hamas. The group that controls the villain is the villain, right? And so Charlie Kirk was aware, because he said got it, right? He said got it. Because he knows this is true, that Hamas is controlled by Israel. And so that makes him a worthless piece of shit, because he's changing, he's allowing Dave Smith on, and he knows Dave Smith's point of view. He kept on saying go full max to these people, whether it was, any of these people. But before that, and these are clips I found just on Turning Point USK, at Charlie Kirk's channel. And he is going to these college students. Well, let's watch a few of these clips and then I'll explain it.
Hamas was eradicated, what do you think should happen between both the communities in order to bring, peace between both of them and make things better?
Yeah, so just so everyone's clear, the reason why Gaza's under Hamas control is that there was a peace deal that was signed. Israel got out of Gaza in the pursuit of peace. Israel gave up the Sinai.
Okay, weird black ring. So that's not true, right? He's got this black wedding ring. Of course, now it makes more sense with the demon he was married to. And his gay lover said, whatever the thing was going on. All right, so Charlie Kirk had 2 points, right? Well, first, we know this is wrong. The reason that was under Hamas control was because Netanyahu was funding Hamas, which was, better for Israel, right? And they destabilized that area, and they led to the eventual destruction and the ethnic cleansing and genocide of the Palestinian people. And so this is a planned operation, and they needed an asset. They needed an excuse to do what they did. They needed a victim consciousness. Hamas provided them the victim consciousness with October 7th. And we know he knows this because of Dave Smith coming on and say that, and it makes logical sense, right? Hamas never did anything that was good for the Palestinian people. Hamas eventually led to the complete obliteration of the country. So he's lying to these people. And he had 2 big things that he would eventually accomplish, or was supposed to accomplish. Number one, he was heavily funded by Israel, and he was there at these colleges because Israel was losing their grip on the next generation of American citizens. This parasitic relationship between Israel and America, and it's a bad relationship, and most of us all know it. It's now out in the open. It's being freely discussed without censorship, which is, maybe a limited time offer. And this was, his purpose. Like, they knew that they had a problem on college campuses, and they had to fund somebody, because you don't go on these college campuses and kind of have the kind of operation Charlie Kirk had with just donations, right, and selling merchant books. You need to be heavily funded, and he was completely funded and sheckled up by Israel. And the other thing that he was doing was supporting Trump, who turned out to be a fucking complete piece of shit. It was just, destroying America in every possible way. I'll show you the video clip of him giving somebody the finger for the Jeffrey Epstein, someone call him a pedophile protector. And Trump gives him the finger. It's a whole thing. And we'll get into that. But, the facts of the matter here are that he got Trump elected, and he was on campus to, mansplain and, to manipulate these kids, these college kids, and all these things, into believing somehow Israel was right and Hamas was the problem, and Israel was great, and we should continue giving them our money and weapons and full support. And so he's a piece of shit. Like that was his legacy. Those were his two big things. He got Trump elected. He helped Trump get Trump elected, who also was giving, who gave everything to Israel, right? Just freely gave it to whatever weapons they wanted, whatever support, and is completely owned by them. So Charlie Kirk was not a Christian, or at least, his support for Israel and his Shabbat Shalom and his Sabbath and all the shekels he took, he's Charlie Shekels, was, the big thing that he did. That meant more to him than his relationship with Jesus. It meant more to him than his relationship with the audience that he was betraying, these kids he was betraying, the conservative movement, and everybody. And so he should not be remembered as anything but a piece of shit, right? This guy who lived a piece of shit life, and he died a piece of shit death. And I'm going to go through all the stuff that he did here. Let me show you the Trump thing first here.
Another example of free society is Donald Trump goes to the Ford plant today. I mean, I'm serious. This is what, and again, this isn't just some trivial thing. This is what the whole fight is about. Like, do we live in the kind of country where you can do this or not? And a worker screams at him and calls him a pedophile protector. And he flips the worker off before walking away. I think we have this footage. Play that for us. Someone screaming pedophile protector. Again, their whole thing is project strength, project popularity, only care about the base. But that's not the reality out in the world.
Okay, so and the other part was Trump said this guy was some lunatic screaming at him, this kind of thing, like the way that Trump makes these narratives, right? And this is what's happened with Trump, right? He's lost, he's lost the QAnon shaman. I mean, he's going to this forever war. They're going to all this stuff with Iran now, and the stuff with Venezuela, and just all over the fucking place. Clearly not America first. Clearly Israel first and Trump first. And Greenland, he's fighting. It's just a fucking mess. He's falling apart mentally. And this was part of Charlie Kirk's success. His so-called success was getting this piece of shit elected. And not that Kamala would have been better. But still, this is what he did, right? This is, he had a negative effect on the country. And then, of course, his relationship with Israel and what Trump did with Israel is, that's what he was getting paid for. Like, all his money came from Israel. So this is weeks before his death, right? Where Charlie Kirk realized he was going to have to pivot on Israel. But he had been shackled up. Like, he was already owned by them, right? And they weren't going to have it. So this is, again, he wasn't doing it because he was some great Christian, Christ-like figure who really cared about people. He was doing it because the right wing had moved so far away from Israel that, he couldn't sustain his position anymore. He couldn't go out and just take the shekels and continuously say these things, these talking points, that no one fucking was buying anymore. He was discredited himself, like he would be like a Ben Shapiro, except even worse, right? Because he's supposed to be a Christian.
On social media, to great, let's just say mockery and scorn at times, where I think I have a bulletproof resume showing my defense of Israel, both on campus, on social media, to great, let's just say mockery and scorn at times, because I believe it, right? I believe in the scriptural land rights given to Israel.
So this idea that Israel is the promised land, right? Which I've talked about. I'll show you that picture. But he believes in, this idea. Well, let's go to it here.
I think how as I interpret that is that, like, at the end of the day, like, we're all people. We should all be respecting and honor others. We should not be hating our neighbor. I don't know if that was me. Hating our neighbor. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So I guess you can like take it to the context of specifically talking about Jews, but I take it in the context of talking about everyone as a people, the entire nation. Because at that time when the Bible was written, there weren't 100 and how many countries. You know what I mean?
Yes and no. I mean, it does. Paul explicitly says that we should bless the Jews, and from it, we should honor the Jews. We're not going to agree on that.
Okay, so that's, neither of those, just the Bible's full of shit, right? So there's that. Like, the Bible's just, full of, like, it's not it's not the Word of God. It's nothing. It's like a piece of shit book for most part, especially the Old Testament. It's a remedial book. It's not that great. I mean, there's the good things in it aren't that great. And the bad shit and the weird shit in it and the things that aren't true, is, I mean, people are literally taking these things, literally and applying to their lives, the things that are, I mean, all the weird obsession with foreskins, and there's a lot of violence in there and a lot of, animal sacrifice. I mean, all these things. Are you going to sacrifice a fucking goat or a sheep? Are you going to burn it? Are you going to do all these various sacrifices of people and these types of things? And so, and in the Bible, there is conversations. Moses has interactions with God, and the demon that is in the Old Testament is still a demon. It's not God, but still they have interactions with it, right? Like, now we don't. Like, people don't have, can't connect to God and have God communicate with them, right? So this is the problem with that. This specific religion, all religions, but this specific one, is that it's not helping people cultivate behaviors and interactions with the divinity that everyone's able to do, right? But then he says this.
But so you say you're Palestinian. That's great. Do you think Israel has a right to exist?
Of course.
Okay, then we can agree.
Yeah.
That's a big statement. Do you think that anti-Semitism is real?
Of course.
Okay, great. Then I really don't have much to disagree with you on. Because the major issue is, does Israel have a rightful right to exist? I guess the question is, what would you consider to be Israel?
Well, how do you feel about the fact that we provided aid to Israel to where they ended up literally leveling Gaza? Do you think our money was in good use to do that?
Well, yes and no. I mean, the first question is, why did Israel do that? It's because Hamas went and killed 1,300 Jews on October 7th.
See, like this kind of thing. Like, this was his job. These are just talking points, right? That's not... The reason Israel did it is because they wanted fucking Gaza. They wanted to expel the Palestinian people, which he's going to talk about somewhere. I don't know what's here. I've seen these video clips before, some of them. But he's going to talk about how he wants ethnic cleansing. Like, he wants the countries surrounding Egypt and Jordan to take in 2 million people, or whatever's left of 2 million people that were in Gaza Strip. Like, he expects them to just take in these refugees because this is Israel's land. And he's going to say it. He said it somewhere else with Megyn Kelly. I'll show you that next.
Unprompted, unprovoked, in the most horrendous way imaginable.
It's totally provoked. They have an open-air prison. And so, first of all, Hamas is their asset, so it's not even they did this. But if they did do that, they're in war. Like, the Palestinian people are in an open-air prison. And Netanyahu, according to Dave Smith, was giving money to Hamas when they were freezing out. They were doing a blockade of resources. So these people live in complete hell, in basically a concentration camp in the Gaza Strip. And that's, that's been well known. And Israel is suffocating them for years and teaches the people there. And this is according to other, like this guy Norman Finkelstein and some of these other Jewish guys who report on this. They're taught to hate these people like they're less than animals, like they're demons. That's what Israelis are taught about the Palestinian people. And they're just, and the people that go in there who are, all of them have to serve in the military. And so, he's lying to these college kids. Like, he seems reasonable. This guy is a fan of his, but this is the one thing he doesn't agree with. And he's perpetuating these lies. And so Charlie Kirk was a piece of shit because he's being paid to do this, right? He got hundreds of millions of dollars in shekels. And so when he started to see that he was losing his audience, not because he felt bad for what happened in Gaza, because you can tell here that he agrees with Israel leveling it, right? He knew it's happened. I mean, he's more aware of what's going on there than anybody else. And he had received talking points because he got hundreds of millions of dollars in shekels, Charlie Shekels, to do it. And so who gives a shit about this motherfucker? Like, if you think about this lesbian mom and, this thing that's happened in Minneapolis, being shot in the face, no one really cares about this woman. Some liberals, whatever. But they don't care about her like people care about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was a much worse person. That woman was, a piece of shit in her own right. Again, maybe just a crisis actor or whatever, but still, in terms of that, she was somebody who was doing activism and blocking this, and, ICE sucks, and ICE is, that's the evil there. ICE is evil. Trump is using them as evil, and it isn't about immigration at all. This has nothing to do with immigration. This is about Americans being under martial law and them taking away your privileges eventually. And people who are too stupid to know that are just, you're not a truther, because this has been a long-term plan that martial law has always been on the table. And so Trump has already, invoked it and started it. And so her being killed, she sucks and she's a piece of shit, but she's way better than Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk got hundreds of millions of dollars to, promote this parasitic relationship with Israel and promote Donald Trump. So, like, he did real damage. This woman's just got her car in the middle of the fucking road, right? But people aren't going to give a shit about her. That story's fading. And the Charlie Kirk thing goes on because of this bullshit, narrative about him being a positive person.
And so Israel was responding in a way that they would respond. Hamas invited that. And I guess the question I would have as a Christian, do you think that it's better for Christianity to have Israel controlled by Jews or Israel controlled by Muslims? What's better for Christianity?
Okay, so none of that matters, right? Because Israel should be controlled by the people that are living there, right? That should be worked out in a way where you don't choose a side and enforce the Palestinian people have no support. They have no military. They have nothing. And they don't even have a seat at the table at the United Nations. And so Israel, this land was brokered into two different segments, and there was 3 or 4 times more Palestinian people. And they were the people that were there. They were the people that owned most of the property. They were running the economy, all that shit, right? They were in control of it, and they were very tolerant of Jewish people. Like, they were like, this has happened in Germany as well. Like, there's places where they've been really tolerated, and then this kind of thing ends up happening. Like, fucking, there's this historical thing to it. So, none of that stuff is true. And Charlie Kirk knows it. Like, he should know it, right? So here's a few other things before we get back to these things here. So this is the Israel of the Bible. That would mean they would get part of Egypt, all of Israel and Hamas, Gaza, most of Syria, half of Iraq, and all of Saudi Arabia, and all this area is rich in oil. They would have access to the Persian Gulf. They would be right up here against Iran. This is what he believes in. He believes that God promised them this whole land, not just this little piece of it, but all of it. That Israel has a right to all of this land. If you believe in the scriptural land rights, anybody can say, hey, God promised me, you go to your neighbor and say, hey, God promised me your house. I don't know what to do. I mean, God promised. What can I do about it, right? See ya. And so there's a video out there I saw where an Israeli man has just taken a Palestinian family's house. And he's saying to them, if I don't do it, someone else will. Like, they can just kick the Palestinians out of these houses. And, there's tons of these videos put out mostly by Jewish people who are sympathetic to the Palestinian cause. But, the Bible's a piece of shit book. And it's just, especially the Old Testament. It's just filled with, bad stuff. Like, they worship a demon. Like, the God that's represented there. And I've said this over and over again. It's there for anybody to see. If you get rid of your personal prejudice and your indoctrination, and you read it with a fresh mind, you'd be like, oh, like that's what happened with me. I liked the Old Testament when I was a kid because there are stories in it. The New Testament's abstract spiritual teachings and principles that Jesus taught. It's not story. Like Jesus' story isn't as compelling as some of these stories, and the wars and there's interesting things in the Old Testament. I used to love the movie The Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston. I watched it every year as a kid. But I've come that my kids, my ex was reading as a part of homeschool the Old Testament, and I sat in and we were all like, "Oh my God, God's a piece of shit in this Old Testament." Like we knew of a different God, a loving God, an abstract God, God not as a king, but God as an essence, right? Which is a more mature understanding of God. And so this is what Charlie Kirk believes, that it's not true. And so that means that Israel has a right to all these lands and whatever they have to do to get it, whether it be bring Hamas in to create false flag type of attacks so that they can go in and level the Gaza Strip and then do ethnic cleansing and kill these people, that's okay. And all these Zionists and all these, Christian Zionists and neocons believe in the biblical land rights, the scriptural land rights, and that's just fucking wrong, right? And Charlie Kirk was realizing that Israel sucks. Like, this is his moment here.
I believe in fulfillment of prophecy. And again, I'm not a theologian, but I'm a Christian. My life was changed in Israel. The spiritual energy is so amazing there. I want them.
It's not. The third master Sage Mark system, the meditation that I do is all about like spiritual energy, like creating it in your own home, making these refuges from the world, like these heavens on earth, these ashrams we'd go to, and the energy that's brought there through the transmission and cleaning. And he went to the Wailing Wall, and he said he felt nothing. There's nothing there. There's no God there, whatever it is. Like, there's just, this is where they're humping the wall, right?
To win. I've said that repeatedly.
Same.
And however, Megan, you're hitting on something very potent and important. Now, let me first say, I don't want to judge an entire group because there's been many people in the pro-Israel world that have been very sweet, very kind, very nuanced, very Charlie. You're with us. You don't have to agree all the time. However,
this is where they're realizing that they're slaves, right?
And I will say this, the behavior by a lot, both privately and publicly, are pushing people like you and me away. Not like we're going to be pro-Hamas, not like we're going to, but we're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite. I am.
Really? Is it as repulsive as killing children in Gaza? Is it, Charlie? Is it as bad as that? After you've taken hundreds of millions of dollars in shekels to lie for them and promote their bullshit, is it really as bad as that? Like the killing the children and the killing of innocent people and destroying their homes, blowing up every fucking building in the Gaza Strip. There's nothing left, like complete demolition, which you know of. But really, the text message you're getting, poor little Charlie, you're getting these mean text messages, Charlie. I mean, the text messages they're so bad. Listen to this motherfucker, right?
Like we're going to be pro-Hamas, not like we're going to, but we're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite. I am learning biblical Hebrew and writing a book on the Shabbat.
Yeah. Stop in the name of God. It's a fucking must read.
Honor the Shabbat. Literally
Shabbat Shalom.
The Jewish Sabbath.
Thank you for your service.
I visit Israel and fight for it. And there's another article.
Thank you for your service.
Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? Like, why are you? What am I doing? I'm sorry. Like, let's just take a step back here. Like, I'm an American citizen. Yes, I want Israel to win. Yes, I'm a Christian. But like some of the mess, and you've seen how I've been treated, Megan, by some, not all, by some.
No, it's very irritating.
It's
been
almost
so
as if
unfair.
you,
They were coming after you after a turning point for, among other things,
it's
that you
so-
had Dave Smith there. Dave Smith is allowed to
Questioning my-
criticize Israel. You had both sides. The Israeli side was
you're not allowed to,
overrepresented.
though. No, you're not allowed to. It's
You're
even-
not allowed to. What do you mean you're not allowed to? You're an American citizen, like you said. Why aren't you allowed to? Why aren't you allowed to? Oh, the money? Is that why? Is it fucking you took the money? You took the money. Now you're realizing your own that they never fucking liked you. They didn't care about you. You're a slave. They're giving you money. They're shekeling you up under one condition. They fucking bought you. $100 million. You think they give you hundreds of millions of dollars? You think they fucking bought you? They think they gave you that money because they like you and they're a fan of your show? You're there to do one thing and unconditionally support them. And once you don't do that, you're fucking, you're an enemy. And he was becoming an enemy because he was, what he was doing was weaselly. I could see why Israel when you buy somebody like that, and you're a criminal, murderous organization, and you buy someone like this, they're supposed to stay bought. And he was, criticizing them, yes, a little bit, but not really. But what he was really doing was bringing Tucker Carlson, Dave Smith, and Megyn Kelly on, and they were criticizing him. And he said, "Go Max" to them, and they knew what he was doing. Like he was hedging his bets. He realized that he was going to have no credibility in the right wing anymore for his unconditional support of Israel. And so this is just all slimy shit, right? He didn't have a wake-up moment, like supposedly Candace Owens did, where she saw what's going on at the Gaza Strip, and they turned on her. And then she was like, "Oh my God, these people are evil, right? Like they're horrible fucking people that are turning on them, But of course they are. They're doing a fucking evil shit over there. I mean, forever. Like this is not just the Gaza Strip thing is just new. They've been torturing those people for years, the Palestinian people, and just lying and manipulating and stabbing America in the back every chance they get. Stealing secrets and the USS Liberty, all the stuff that's happened, right? And so, the truth of the thing was you got bought by an evil organization to promote that country and also Trump. And those things failed. Like they're epically failing now. And so Charlie was going to be done either way. Now, we don't know exactly what happened to him. Let's just wrap this part up here.
And worse than that. Again, I just want to repeat for the 5th time. I love Israel. I want Israel to win. But my moral character is now being put into question.
Oh, my God. Your moral character, Charlie? I mean, it's almost like as bad as killing 300,000 children, right? Like, you fuck.
Not my decisions. Not like, hey, are you doing this? Is it smart or is it dumb?
He's an unlikable guy. Like, he's not one of these happy, I guess he got good at this stuff that he did debating. I mean, in terms of, like, I wouldn't call it good, but, like, whatever it was. Like, he had some moments over the years. But, the guy, well, let's go to this next piece here. But the guy, he wasn't good. Like, he wasn't, he was propped up. Turning Point was never, like, an organic movement where this guy was some kind of great orator and leader. And, he inspired people and he just rose up because, he was just good at it. He said things people wanted to hear, but mostly it was the money behind him that got him to be as big as he was, right? So here they are talking about how, well, this here.
Defense a lobbyist group. They treated me like I was Mehdi Hassan. Not everybody, but like the loudest Israel defenders. And to turn around and call Charlie Kirk an anti-Semite is such a disgusting smear. And you're right, he's young. He was young and wasn't used to being attacked like that by people who supported him and people whose donations are actually really important to the ongoing existence of his organization. And it took a lot for him to...
And building it in the first place, right? So, like, this is part of where they're talking about that. There was the funding of Charlie Kirk's organization was talked about in multiple places, hundreds of millions of dollars in donations, right?
Say no to them. And it took a lot for him to be honest about the fact that his opinions had evolved. And let's face it, Charlie was like an unofficial spokesperson for the youth of America, in particular conservative youth. And I don't know if people have checked, but they no longer support Israel. And everybody under 30 is against Israel. Charlie was 31.
And so on TPUSK, they invited two of their chapter leaders, and they were asking them, where everyone stands on Israel. Conservatives, liberals, all of them, on campus. These are college kids, right? Also kind of gayish kids, right? But whatever. There's just, it seems to be like this right-wing, closeted gay thing going on at TPUSK. But they were saying that across the board, nobody in college supports Israel. And, all the stuff that's happened to squish that has backfired, right? All the stuff they did to censor it, whether it be the schools censoring and pressuring the schools, taking money away from Harvard and these other piece of shit universities, all the stuff they did, a lot of it was performative. The opinions didn't change. It made it like, yeah, we were totally right about this, right? And so they're growing up with this, and Charlie Kirk failed to reverse this, and Israel failed, and now, these other things. So, this is obvious what he was. And so why are you celebrating this guy? He was certainly not a spiritual person, religious person. You think Jesus would have taken the side of Israel against what was happening to the Palestinian people? Of course not. Any Christian saint would do that? No. Any saint in the world, a real spiritual person? No. Some things are just wrong and evil. Maybe it's, all things happen because God is part of a divine plan. But, when your intentions and your lies and your manipulations and that's all evil shit, that always is called out. Like Jesus was there to call shit like this out. The way that Israel was behaving towards the Gaza Strip and the lies and the manipulation, and the this is not following your heart and connecting with God. This is all mental, egotistical, demonic shit, right? And so Charlie Kirk was a pawn of this, a willing pawn. And, there's no reason to mourn his loss. I mean, it's, people die every day, and most of them are, they didn't do the kind of damage, and they weren't as much as on the wrong side as Charlie Kirk was. And, so then there was this. Okay, so this walking stereotype is the leader of a foreign country and America's greatest ally. And he has to come out in an interview, right, like 2 or 3 days after Charlie died. And then they talked about a letter that Charlie wrote to him, and he invited Charlie to come to Israel. He didn't say that Charlie refused, like he lied about that. But then he did his own little post here.
Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, said that the bigger the lie, the faster it will spread. Well, somebody has fabricated a monstrous big lie that Israel had something to do with Charlie Kirk's horrific murder. This is insane.
It's so insane I have to talk about it multiple times, right? So have you ever heard of this, like a leader having to dismiss this? Because there's an obvious link, and they want to erase, and Turning Point USK won't talk about it, Charlie's breakup with Israel. This is the one thing that Candace Owens got right in the beginning that made her credible, and then she's been a piece of shit ever since, right? And she's gotten away from this because, whatever, like her handlers have told her, whatever reason is. But this is the essence of Charlie Kirk's, everything you need to know I've just showed you about Charlie Kirk's death and life. Because, and I'm going to show you more, but there's, it's everything you need to know. Because he was a piece of shit that was owned by Israel, and then he bit the hand that fed him. And, Israel is the number one suspect in his death, and you're never going to get any more than this. You're never going to get, even if you get more facts, more proof, you're never going to get justice in that sense, right? And why would you? Because, I don't want to say I agree with what Israel did here, but I understand it because they had this guy shackled the fuck up, right? They had him shackled up. And, they owned him. They bought, you pay $100 million for somebody. Like if the mafia gives you $100 million, and the mafia isn't nearly as bad as Israel, right? But if you take $100 million from the mafia, you think you get to criticize the mafia, right? You knew they were the mafia when you took the fucking money. The Charlie Kirk saying he didn't know what Israel was when he took the money? Of course he fucking did. He took the money anyway because success meant more to him than his character and his beliefs and the kind of person he was. And so there's no loss here. You know, if it wasn't Israel, there's some, you know, who knows what happened to Charlie Kirk in terms of, like, is he really even dead? Whatever this stuff is. But, you know, them killing Charlie Kirk as a character completely coincides with his turning on Israel, and there's no other suspects. There's not some liberal furries. It's fucking stupid. That's retarded. Like, why that doesn't exist as in reality, right? The liberals weren't that hateful towards Charlie, you know, any more than they were anybody else. A community of furries came together, assassinated Charlie Kirk. It's fucking stupid, right? So the only other suspect is Israel. The people he had taken money from and then now was turning on. He was biting the hand that fed him.
It is false. It is outrageous. Charlie Kirk was a giant, a once-in-a-century talent who defended freedom, defended America, defended our common Judeo-Christian civilization.
Until he didn't, though, right? You acknowledge that he turned on you. And so, like, this is what a guilty motherfucker does, right? Okay, so these are just some of the videos. There was a never-ending list. I don't know if I got the worst ones. 8 facts you must know about Palestine. The left hates the truth behind Palestine Hamas.
That's maybe. How did Israel...
Hamas sympathizers start yelling at facts.
Try visiting Gaza as like an...
Queers for Palestine.
Let's say Hamas.
We already saw this one.
If your portfolio is over 200...
Misinformed kid gets educated with the facts about Israel.
How's it going, Mr.
Charlie Kirk versus anti-Israeli student.
How are you, Charlie?
We saw this one as well.
Since the man...
Charlie Kirk effortlessly defends Israel's right to exist.
Yep, if you guys
Does Israel have a right to exist? And so I'm not going to show you clips of each one. Some of them are going to be redundant. I haven't watched all these things. I'm going to go through them and see if there's anything new. I want to find the one that he said. Hopefully I will. I haven't bookmarked these things. These are just things I searched on their site. But one of them he says that let me see if I can find it here. If not, I'll talk about it. All right, so yeah, this is it here. This is it's this first one. He says this stuff here.
Israel has actually decreased the land size of their nation significantly in the last 40 years.
Okay, so that's just silly. Right? Like, you can see the map. Like, there's maps out there, and everybody knows that Israel has built settlement after settlement in Palestinian land. Like, it's just fucking fact, right? But he can say this to these kids because he's an older person. He's got the fucking stage. He's got the whole thing. He's got the money. He's shackled up. He's got he's got more, he's polished, these are just dumb college kids, right? He's an adult living an adult life, debating college kids and telling them shit that's not true.
Like, almost, they have shrunk their country by nearly 75% since 1975. Most people, they don't teach you this in college. You can
Yeah, because it's not fucking true, right?
look it up.
You can look it up. You can look it up, and you can look it up. The ever shrinking country of Palestine. It's been documented. The partition that happened in 1945, Israel has increased all of its land. You think the country that has the bigger army and has like he says he believes in the scriptural land rights. So Netanyahu and all these people are Zionists. They believe that they own all of not only Israel, but all these other countries I showed you. He believes that they all believe it. So they're all going against God's promise? Is that what you're saying? God promised them that land, but they're just giving it up because fuck God. Fuck you, God. We're not in the pursuit of peace. Fuck you, God.
And in the pursuit of peace.
In the pursuit of peace, God. Fuck you.
And yet we've had more conflict, more strife. Number one, for the people in Gaza, Egypt has to step up. But they don't want them because they know that it's not exactly easy. Jordan has to step up. They don't want them either. So Arab partners don't want these people. And
yeah, of course, nobody wants them. Because nobody wants refugees. Nobody wants, you want a fucking bunch of refugees to come to your house? Yeah, come to my house and I want to fucking support a bunch of people who are, and they might be experiencing horrific shit, but they're completely broken and, you got to put these people back together. And America doesn't want them, right? Nobody wants them because they belong in Palestine, but they're on Israeli land according to fucking the bullshit Bible. And so, Charlie's saying it like so. This is what he believed: the biblical, scriptural land rights, that these people should get out, and these other countries should take them up until the part that Egypt becomes, or most of Egypt, or half of Egypt becomes part of Israel, because God promised them part of Egypt. And Jordan, all of Jordan. Right? Fucking, so go to Jordan, and then we'll kick you out again when Israel takes over Jordan, right, or whatever it is, right? When this is it. You saw the land mass. He's telling them to go to countries that are part of the scriptural land rights. And so when you believe that God promised them the land, then all these people are disobeying God. The people on the land, and Israel itself, when it gave back the land, which it didn't, that Charlie Kirk says. So this is the kind of piece of shit he was, right?
Same thing.
No, Israel did. Who ran Gaza up until 2005?
Same thing.
No, Israel did. Israel used to occupy the Gaza Strip. 10,000 Jews left Gaza. The IDF totally withdrew. Why did Israel do that?
Wait, because they were occupying it, and that's fucking wrong? Is it that why? Is because they realized the error of their ways?
You tell me. You're the one at the table.
To pursue
You're the one at the table.
peace. Because they were promised a peace deal if they got out of Gaza.
And
Then Hamas took over as
funded by Benjamin Netanyahu. And so they occupied these people, right? He's saying it. They occupied them. And they never stopped occupying them. They controlled their borders. They controlled their resources. They controlled everything. The Palestinians had no army, like nothing. So they had, whatever funding they got from Iran, any of these kind of things, which they allowed in. They allowed funding to come in from Yemen when they had closed everything else off because they wanted to prop up Hamas. And this is Dave Smith said this on his show, and he didn't dispute it. Like he knew it was true. So he's out there at fucking University of Connecticut, UConn.
mayor of Gaza, and it's now a hot tub for terrorists, where there are thousands of rockets every single month.
where was the peace that happened after they withdrew?
Exactly. Israel signed a peace accord, and the PA violated it.
Oh my God! It's just they're such victims.
So this is the way.
Like this is his talking points, right?
Territory.
They weren't occupying; they got out.
You just said Israel.
This guy's
occupied
like
that territory.
is this guy a professor or something? Like he knows this is bullshit, right?
That's not.
No, but they got out on a condition of peace. So they said, we will get our 10,000 Jews out of Gaza. So 10,000 Jews used to live in Gaza.
Recognize that they were occupying someone's territory, and that's
Well, so who is Gaza's territory? Whose is that?
It's Palestinian.
Egypt. It's been Egypt for 2,000 years. Okay. So so since you understand this, maybe, how did Israel win back that territory?
Sinai, all the deals.
Right. So in the 1967 war, they pushed back Egypt all the way to their borders.
And so this is the war in which they torpedoed a USS Liberty, which is an unarmed information vessel that was trying to figure out what was going on in the 6-Day War or whatever it was called. And Israel was the aggressor, and they made it sound like they always make it sound like they're victims, right? And so factually, this is the whole stuff with Lyndon Baines Johnson. He thought Egypt had torpedoed the ship. And, the whole USS Liberty, if you haven't heard about it, you haven't watched it, Al Jazeera has a good documentary on it. He was getting hammered. People were showing up and talking about USS Liberty. And Charlie Kirk had no answer for him, right? And he realized that the tides had turned and the information was out there. And the college kids were absorbing the shit out of it. And everything was backfired. And he had taken all these shekels. And he couldn't do bullshit like this anymore, right?
They gave up the Sinai Desert in pursuit of peace with Egypt. That worked. So then they kept the occupation of Gaza, which there's factories and rolling hills and vineyards, a lot of wealth there. There's 2 million people that live in Gaza, more or less.
Not anymore, bro. But how many live there now, motherfucker?
10,000 Jews lived on the eastern skirt of Gaza. So in pursuit of peace, in the 2005 peace talks, Israel said, you know what? We want peace. And as a condition, we'll get out if you guys have real peace with us. Stop launching rockets, stop building...
Okay, so that's it. Then he funded Hamas and continued to launch rockets so that they would have a reason to go in there and do it. So this is a lying sack of shit. He'd go in there. And again, he's at the table. He's got the gravitas, right? He's got he's the adult. He's the famous person. And he comes in here and, And they don't show you the clips where people are talking about USS Liberty and these other things where he's getting owned, right? Only the ones where the person he's debating doesn't know as much as he does, and he's younger, whatever this case, but he's full of shit, right? And he was Charlie Shekels. He's a piece of shit. He was a human piece of garbage, right? Like, he did damage, just like Trump did, like, Trump is doing. Like willfully doing the wrong thing. Again, like I said, it's, some of this stuff's God's will, and sometimes God needs villains, like the divine drama needs villains, and higher developed souls play villains. That's all possible. But he was nothing more than a villain, right? Maybe was doing that, on a spiritual level on God's behalf. I don't think so. It's part of the divine plan. I don't think so. I think he just was, somebody who wanted to be successful. I think he just really wanted to be successful and powerful. They talked about it all the time that he was a driven person. He wanted to make TPUS gay a big thing. He wanted to be the head of it. He was a big ego person, just like all the rest of these fucks. And, he took the shekels, and then he had to pivot. And when he pivoted, they fucking said, hey, you can't pivot, motherfucker. And now he's dead. This is one, he's doing the Alex Jones thing here. Selling gold at an inflated rate.
Protect your portfolio today. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com. Yes, sir.
How are you doing today, man? How you doing?
Padres are good this
Yeah,
year.
they are. And I just want to start off by saying I have no disrespect to any other religion. I respect all religion. This is more of a question for you and whether or not you can confirm this. The Talmud states that Jews are the chosen people and all non-Jews are goyim, here to serve them. You are a Christian who's clearly serving the Jews, defending Zionism with all you got. But you also believe Jesus is a rabbinic Jew in heaven when you know the Talmud states he's in hell burning in feces.
Okay, so you're a Talmudic expert, right? Which Talmud is that in? Jerusalem or Babylonian?
Look at Charlie. Look at this fucking dweeby motherfucker. Look at this fucking guy. Look, he's all butthurt now. He just got called out for being a fucking sellout, right?
Talking about Jerusalem, sir.
Oh, that's the Jerusalem, which actually is not as divinely inspired. Which one's longer?
It's not as divinely inspired.
How long is it? Don't look at your phone. Look at me in the eye.
Oh, look at me. Don't look at your phone. Who do you fuck to tell me what to do, right? Who the fuck are you to tell him what to do, you fucking sellout piece of shit, right?
I'm
No,
not
come
really
on.
aware.
You said that I'm a tool of the Jews, so look at me in the eye like
I
a
never
man.
said I'm talking about the Talmud.
No, you accused me of saying like you're a Zionist or something, right?
I mean, do you support Israel?
Yes, of course I do. Yes.
Okay, that's good for you. But that's another thing. You're an advocate for the military in America.
Hold on, time out.
But then you agree with Israel's war crimes. What's up with that?
Oh, war crimes. We'll get into that, but let's be more specific.
Yeah.
What is your point here of dragging up a multi-thousand-year text that you don't know, that you haven't read?
I mean, it's
you
your
have not
religion.
even. Have you purchased the Talmud? Have you read the Talmud? What is the Talmud?
What is a Talmud? It's a good fucking book. So, I mean, it's they worship a demon, like it's a narcissistic demon. Who's in the Old Testament. Like, it's just there for anybody to see. If you're not indoctrinated into it, it's not, it's not, the way God is portrayed, every religion defines God. They're trying to explain God to people, right? And I've talked about this. Like, back when people were barbaric and, animalistic, God was a warrior, and then God was a king, because, like, kings are so great, right? This thing. So you're trying to explain God to primitive people, and sometimes higher developed souls, spiritual people would come down, and they would do their best to explain God to people of a lower nature, and it's really difficult because people are fucking don't want to know about God. People want in their egos, everyone's ego, even spiritual people who come down with a specific role to play. And they are here to, do God's work. And, you're here to connect people to divinity within them. And you get sucked into the bullshit. It's happened to spiritual person after spiritual person. Higher developed soul after higher developed soul comes down and tries to, bring humanity up to a higher level. It happened to Jesus, right? Like, you get sucked down into the fucking drama. Earth is very alluring in it, being in a physical body and these things. So, there is a definition of God that's given. And it's based in the people that are there and the person delivering the message. and the one that has to do with the Jewish Bible, the Talmud, and the other parts of the Jewish, what's become the Old Testament, that was not God at all, and those were not spiritual people that delivered that. It's manipulative, it's evil, and it's caused all kinds of problems. It's like, the religion is literally worshiping a demon. And you can just read about the way God demands animal sacrifice. God's jealous and petty and narcissistic. And so, none of this stuff makes any difference because Christianity is based in that. 75% of the Bible, which is supposed to be the Word of God, is the Old Testament. And so, it's a bogus religion. And it's, very remedial. And there's been some saints, and Jesus had some good teachings, but he himself was coming from an, inferior position, living in this country, and whatever spiritual elevation he got, was almost immediately erased from the books. If it's not erased, it's ignored. And so, but here's this butthurt piece of shit here, and all this stuff. Like, it's very heavy. It's very gross, the biblical stuff, the religion, the way the religion of politics, right? Religion in politics, religion of politics.
The difference between the Torah, the Tanakh, and the Talmud. Go ahead.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know? That's pretty important. Time out.
That's
pretty important. So he's just quoted this thing about Goyim. And he experienced this at the end when he fucking went against them, right? And they were like, hey, fucking Goyim, we gave you $100 million. Shut the fuck up and tell it and read these talking points, right? He experienced it right before,
You did is you cherry pick something on the internet that makes Jews look bad, but you can't tell me the difference between the Torah and the Tanakh and the Talmud.
I'm not trying to make the Jews look
No,
bad.
this is ridiculous. This is for clickbait. Let me tell you the difference. The Torah is the books that we as Christians acknowledge.
So again, like this guy, he knows a bunch of shit about this fucking bad books and bad spiritual teachings, not spiritual teachings, fake religion, fake fear spiritual teachings. He knows more than this guy. He's smarter than the guy. And so he can, the title of the video is, Misinformed Kid Gets Educated with the Facts About Israel. These are not facts. These are just talking points. And we all know what happened. So we all know how this played out. Charlie got fucking, at the very least, they turned on him. If they didn't kill him, they turned on him. Because he was, when he started to realize that the stuff that he was saying wasn't working anymore and that he had lost his audience. So this is Charlie Kirk, right? So that's the Charlie Kirk part. I think everyone can agree. I don't know if they can, but, it's undeniable what I've just presented. He was a piece of shit that got sheckled up and then turned on his masters, and now he's dead. There's nothing to see here. It's no tragedy, no crime. He was, he ran a shitty organization. We'll show you the organization in a bit. But it's shitty, and it's, getting shittier. And so let's then go to Candace Owens. So this showed up on my feed, I think, yesterday. It's not a person I'm friends with. So, to all Candace Owens haters out there, stop saying she's lying. She's putting out enough info for independent researchers to do the footwork. You mean independent dumb fucks? Like, you think that, she has all these resources. She's a former reporter for The Guardian. She's a famous person. And she's married to a man worth $200 million, and she's the #1 podcast. But she needs independent researchers to do the footwork. You mean like QAnon did? You see how that worked out? Those fucking independent QAnon people? It's some of the same fucking people. Here's your fucking little, your QAnon, your QAnon deputy badge. I'm deputizing you guys because I need your help. I'm a person that works in the high levels of the government with a Q clearance, and I have all the resources at my disposal, but I need a bunch of dumb fucks to help me. And I'm going to leave these very cryptic, abstract fucking talking points and little baits of information, little tidbits and bait for you guys to jump into in my Q posts, and they're going to be very unspecific. And I want you to figure them the fuck out with your 100 IQs and your inability for abstract thought. Is that what you're saying? That she's a QAnon fuck, right? And so this is where Charlie Kirk is being used. He's a piece of shit, and everyone, and Candace should know this more than everyone else. Because whatever good Candace did was she realized that there was a genocide going on with Gaza Strip, and she decided to do some research into it, and they turned on her. And Ben Shapiro fired her, and the rest of the people turned on her. And she, whatever organic part that happened, and Charlie Kirk turned on her. because he couldn't give up the shekels, right? And so, like, why the fuck are you care about him doing this? So his death has now become about Erika versus Candace, and Erika's in fucking hiding. Like she went on that media tour that was disastrous, and they are now hiding her because no one fucking likes her. But Candace Owens, so here, she's putting out just enough info for independent research to do the footwork. She's a genius. She's not a genius because she didn't even figure this out. Alex Jones did it, and then Q did it better, and Alex Jones was too over the top. But this is, and they did it on the show Lost. They create these little mysteries and unresolved, clues, and people start coming up with fan theories, and they dive into this thing, and they create this universe of bullshit Charlie Kirk stuff. She's not a genius. She's just taken somebody else's manipulative bullshit and done it for, to these people, she's just doing it with a new audience over a new subject. She's a genius. Never before I have seen so many people digging into a topic. You mean, something that's there's never going to be a justice for? I mean, you're this far down the rabbit hole. So everything she has said has been verified, even the planes. By who? What do you mean verified? That there were some planes, the Egyptian planes here? Which is, that's fucked up, but what do you mean it's been verified? There's no evidence that it has anything to do with, she herself said that she was praying for something legitimate, right? And God answered her with bitch fucking snow. Although Candace said that there was only one in Utah on September 10th and was wrong, there were two, both in the air at the time of the shooting, each on either side of the university at an extreme low altitude. So they needed two fucking Egyptian planes hovering over Charlie Kirk's venue to somehow execute a shot from a from a furry loving dude. Whatever the thing is, right? They had there was Egyptian planes that were flying over. Of course, they had to have something to do with it. Did they shoot him from the plane? Was there a fucking crack shot that could somehow shoot him from the... I'm putting everything in my video, which has proven to be more difficult than I anticipated. So much information. Charlie was surrounded by vipers. I've pinned the obvious. I have pinned down four motives. Occam's razor doesn't apply here at the most obvious. Is the most obvious red herring. The entire thing is crazy. The assassination wasn't years in the planning, but everything else in his life was. I feel bad for him. He loved his family, but he was waking up to the fact that Erika wasn't who he thought she was. We are seeing the real Erika now. The illusion she portrayed to Charlie was a lie. Okay, so Charlie was duped by his marriage and duped by Israel and duped by all these people in his life and all these gay dudes. And you're somehow glorified like this. Well, he was a person that of very poor judgment, right? Like he realized Israel fucked him, and he realized, all these guys that were there. Tyler Boyer, who was a gay dude, who was hiring gay dudes. The whole thing's a mess. Like TPUS gay was nothing. Erika Kirk and Candace Owens was a piece of shit promoting all these things. All of a sudden, she had a come to Jesus moment a couple of years ago, but she was pushing for Trump and all these other things. And, they're all complicit in this. And there's never going to be any justice, and you guys are always on the wrong side of fucking things. And so this is what they're putting out there. Okay, so I want to run the Mitch Snow meme here.
But then I said to myself, this man has lived through so much. You know what I mean? This man has lived through so much.
My wife neglects us, ignores us, and then screams at us on Saturday morning.
And I would be turning my back on this, really a hero.
I didn't give you an asshole answer. I gave you a smartass answer. It's Saturday morning, and it's okay to be a smartass.
For discovering the cartels.
I have no idea where the keys are. Would love to know.
Who's lived through so much and has been treated like the government. And then I struggled with my own soul going, I'm turning my back on him because I'm afraid.
Touch that Mustang. Stop it!
Touched it.
Of backlash for allowing him to tell the truth.
You want to video record shit?
And my soul was in conflict. And I decided that, you know what? I am not This is not my platform, okay? I genuinely believe this is God's platform. I am a conduit. I don't know why I have a platform.
You want to threaten to hit my car with a hammer? God damn it! Marriage over, bitch. Goodbye.
And I don't know why you have this luck in life.
And she lured me in there and attacked me. Hit me with a hammer and, break my thumbs, my feet, back of my skull.
I really don't. I don't know why these things happen to you or why they happen to me.
Yeah, she took my keys, she took my phone, she went back inside and forced me to go back in and find out what was going on. Lures me to the garage that she pre-set up to be like a little prison.
But I know that my prayer was very intentional that night.
Then you stop it.
That I received that email. So I'm going to allow the internet to hear your testimony, hear what you think.
You know what? Do it all you want. Go ahead.
I don't want to. I want you to fucking start treating me better than you treat this car.
Everyone's like, what does this have to do with Fort Huachuca? Can Suge Knight see Brian Harpole at a military base? Like, do I care about Suge Knight's history? What does this have to do with anything? This is just illogical.
But that's not what we were doing today. But you have to do this. You have to. Don't defend
ask you a
yourself
question.
now.
I can defend myself all I want because you're being insane.
Ally with me, and I know how much you are already going through fighting them, and I intend to help you raise money.
What is so bad about being a smartass?
To go through these lawsuits with the federal government. I know this is not easy. I know what your kid has been through. I know what your wife has been through.
Mess with your car. I haven't touched this car in forever.
And no one should have to go through this because they told the truth.
You do.
Yeah, I've never done crap like that, Mitch.
Yeah. That's the thing. You do it all the fucking time.
No.
That's what you do.
You just beat our door in with a hammer.
Why are you videotaping me?
Why are you acting crazy? You want me to let you in and that's what you do?
And potentially stumbled upon something corrupt, did definitively stumble upon something corrupt. And I think the public will be with you because...
Yeah. So, she did that. And eventually I was hearing my son cry. I was worried about him, having her maul him with the dogs.
There's two boats and hold. So then somebody put this up on Facebook. Candace Owens, 100 most influential people, 26, Candace Owens. For the first time in history, Candace Owens named one of the most magazines, Time Magazine's 100 most influential people, 26. Candace, the iconic conservative voice, cultural commentator, and unwavering advocate of her views. Yeah, that didn't happen. Like, you think they would do this for someone who also was anti-Semite of the year? She received an award, which is the anti-Semite of the year. You think Time Magazine would also put her on the 100 most influential people? And is this what this is about, right? I thought this was about finding out who really killed Charlie Kirk. Not everybody grifting to grab a piece of the audience of people who are the new QAnon that's led by Candace Owens. Of, you're getting your deputy fucking detective badge, your junior detective badge in your cereal box from Candace Owens. So, this is just silly. Like, the thing's gotten fucking retarded, right? It's retarded.
Cisco police began investigating allegations, not surprisingly, of sexual abuse in connection with the Army's Child Development Center, which is based in San Francisco. A girl came forward in 1987, and she identified him, Aquino, as the culprit. An investigation was launched.
So she's talking about Michael Aquino. This is classic Alex Jones shit and stuff that's been a part of whatever it is. It's linking things, so Michael Aquino was a devil worshiper and also was in charge of the military psychological operations. And he did a lot of fucking really crazy shit, and he was a weird motherfucker. And, so he's a legitimate piece of shit, right? And there was ties to the military and a Satanist. And, the military he had, whatever he had on them or whatever friends he had, refused to basically punish the guy or, whatever it might be. He was friends with Anton LaVey or associated with him. And, whatever that is, like there's always more to it. But this is the narrative that's been out there in the truth community for a while. And now she's going to link him to Fort Huachuca, which, again, you don't need 2 Egyptian planes flying over Charlie Kirk's assassination. Why do you need that? Like, why? Why do you need that? Like, how is that it's when you start making your villains do stupid shit because you need it for the story, because it's what the movie they have to do this to make the movie be what it is. When you see a guy come out and, like the people in a gunfight, they're not going to just walk up into an area where they can easily get shot. My wife and I were watching some, there was the Terminal List, and they made a prequel. And these guys are just walking out into areas with no cover. You see the heroes who are making sure that they have cover, right? They're running for cover. They're looking for places where bullets can't hit them. And they are outgunned. And, they're exposed for a brief period of time where they're running to a place, but they have somebody else, where they say, cover me, laying down some gunfire so that the other people can move back, right? They're retreating. But for the most part, my brother was talking about in Vietnam, they would put their machine guns above the foxhole and just fire randomly, because they didn't want to expose their heads and sit up, because, stray bullets, the bullets are just flying. And if you're around gunfire and, you're seeing people get shot, you're like, fuck, I'm going to be in a place where I can't get shot, right? But even then, there's other weapons that are being used, grenades and things like that, right? So they're still, at risk. But where guys just stand up like enemies, like the NPCs in TV shows and movies, just so the good guys can shoot them, right? They expose themselves. And they're just sitting there with no cover, like just stand there, say, shoot me, everyone shoot me. And so when they come up with stories like that, the storyline becomes like this, where they make complex, like Egyptian planes and the French Foreign Legion, and she's got, an army of people trying to kill this piece of shit Charlie Kirk, right? And she's got no proof about it, because she's already said she's looking for something legitimate. And she's got an army of dumb fucks out there going down these rabbit holes. Like I said, Candace Owen is a rabbit hole. And now she's brought in Michael Aquino.
Police believe she was telling the truth, but they had to close the case because of insufficient evidence that was found. Even though she was able to describe the house where she was taken to, they said there was insufficient evidence.
Yeah, so that's what's going to happen here. Just admit that you're never going to get to the bottom of the Charlie Kirk thing. You're just using this as a manipulative tool to grow your audience and make yourself the center of the story.
Now, it's worth noting that Michael Aquino was trained at Fort Huachuca.
No way. It's amazing, the connection. Like all these people lapping this shit up.
Yeah, Fort Huachuca.
And we don't know if this is true or not, but even if it was, he might have passed through a number of forts, right?
As we've now established, is the hub for intel operations. And there have been a lot of scandals that have happened at Fort Huachuca. And man, did we all endure and survive a psychological operation when Mitch Snow came and told us that he saw Brian Harpole and he saw Erika Kirk at Fort Huachuca.
You didn't endure. Like, this is where she's made herself the victim of truth, right? She's been exposed. Because Mitch, when she first told this story, I'm like, she's lost it. Like, and, I'm clearly not a part of a psychological operation. My channel's too small, and my personality and the way I present information is, it's beyond all this bullshit Alex Jones kind of stuff. And it's not something that's going to bring in dumb fucks. Like, I don't talk to dumb fucks. And I don't, it's obvious like I'm not part of that, right? And I said, when she first told that story, Jesus Christ, she just keeps on, expanding this thing. It's obviously a bullshit story. And then we saw Mitch Snow. And I didn't even watch that original interview with her because I already knew it was bullshit. And I was over it, and I was just tired of her bullshit, right? But then the videos came out of Mitch Snow, and I don't know why I ended up watching that, but it's been great. And I showed you the clips. And this guy is, caught lying time and time again already. He's already a non-credible witness just in his presentation. Nobody would take this fucking guy serious, right? And he was at Fort Huachuca, and they were thinking he was gonna, like some kind of a crazy guy with maybe a bomb in his backpack. Like, that's the kind of guy they thought he was, right? He comes back to his old base 35 years later where he was a medic, and he claimed this bullshit story. And then he was going around the internet saying he saw all these people. And then Candace Owen goes, "Oh, did you see this person too?" And he's like, "Yeah, I did. I saw him." Right? And now she's calling this thing a big psychological operation. Because, here, let's finish this.
Days leading up to Charlie's assassination, different days. But man, we were going, what is happening? Why do we feel like the whole internet is screaming at us? Yeah, well, that's the home.
Because fucking the internet's screaming at you because the guy's not credible. And even if there was shit going on at Fort Huachuca, the fact that you're using Mitch Snow to expose it, or that's the catalyst, would be, you've fucked yourself, right? Because that guy is, clearly a joke. Like you can't legitimize your claims with Mitch Snow. He's not a reliable witness or resource. And you got exposed, and instead of owning up to it, going, yeah, this guy's not believable, she keeps on doubling and tripling down with her dumb fucks, which means she's totally disrespecting her audience, and she's treating her audience like retards. Like they're retarded, right? So look at this fucking smug look. And, she says she doesn't like liars, and she's like the most manipulative fucking attention-seeking person out there. Even more so than Erika Kirk. Like, she's eclipsing Erika's attention horse shit, because Erika's, like, in hiding right now. And she's claiming there's a massive psychological operation to get rid of this hero, Mitch Snow, expose Mitch Snow for his being a not credible person. I mean... And so this is where we're at, right? When, the biggest lie that she's telling is that Charlie Kirk is worth investigating because he was some kind of great person. Her friend, Charlie Kirk, that stabbed her in the fucking back. When she turned on Israel, he turned on her. And so, and then he promoted this genocide and all the other shit he did. He was a shackled up piece of shit, and he was owned by Israel. And, to the extent that they got rid of him when he turned on him. I mean, that's her original story, but now she's over here in Egyptian Plainland and Fort Huachuca, and this isn't going anywhere, right? This isn't going fucking anywhere, just like everything else. But somehow she's a victim of a massive psychological operation, and all of us are calling bullshit on her because she's bullshitting. We're all part of that, like what a piece of shit, right? I mean,
Of Army intel psychological operations, and you should know that. Anyways,
and you should know that. Guys should see what's going on here. This victim thing that Alex Jones plays when he gets exposed as being a liar, and then that all these people are out to get him, right? This thing that they constantly do. She's just gone from their playbook, and she's just better at it because she's, she's being more successful than Alex Jones was. I don't know if she's better than Q, because Q was like just, just this random fucking anonymous thing that happened. But she's definitely has more, visibility. Like Q was anonymous. Like she's definitely getting more out of this than they did. And she likes being the center of attention. So she got exposed. When that tape came out of Mitch Snow, like she knows it's real because she's not denying it. She would say that's a fake tape. And it's not a fake tape because we know it's not a fake tape. Of him in his garage and his wife filming him. You're like, this guy is not somebody you... And she got fucking owned, and she's doing this, right? What an absolute fucking horrible person. And saying, oh, we're all undergoing a psychological operation that's exposing me as a fraud. So this is where the fucking Charlie Kirk things ended up, because it's the only way it could go. And his wife tried to, she's trying to be something. I'm going to go to the TPUS gay thing in a moment here. But this is where we're at. I want to go to TPUS gay. That's what I was going to do next. But this popped up in my feed, and it's interesting here.
I met Josh Hammer. I debated him twice. I debated him at Princeton University once and then there. And I did think he was a real snake. When we had like a totally nice conversation backstage. Charlie had insisted over and over that this be like a good faith debate. Me and Josh talked for like a half hour backstage about like family and kids and all this stuff. And then he gets out there in his opening statement and he goes, "I'm disgusted to be on this stage with Dave Smith right now." And I was like,
okay, so I found that very performative. Like when he came out like that immediately, like. I'm not going to... Dave Smith called him out on this. It's well worth watching. I showed clips of it. It's on Charlie Kirk's channel and other places. But Dave Smith destroyed him because, you know, he has all the, like, you know, so-called facts. He's got information, and they just have emotion, right? This guy, you know, this guy, you're a, you know, I mean, Dave Smith's Jewish on top of it, so it's like hard to do. But you're anti-Semitic, you know, you're a hateful person, you're, you know, all these things. You're against Israel, all these things, the way they frame it, in a way that you're just the most vile piece of shit in the world, but they can't debate the facts at all. They make it about emotion, like identity politics type of stuff, right? Which we now know from my video yesterday with Dana Bash, the liberals are realizing they fucked up on. You know, going back to what I was saying earlier about all these movies featuring lesbians and, you know, before that transgenders and gay dudes, and like, you know, they're pushing all this. You know, it's one thing if the character in the story is a lesbian. Like, it just, that's how you would write it. And if you're a lesbian woman writing about a lead role, I mean, that was part of the whole, you know, the, you know, a subplot in the, whatever that show I said I liked was, Pluribus, was that she was writing these shitty love romance novels, and she was writing them for heterosexual people. Like, it was, if she wrote it for as a lesbian character, these books wouldn't have sold, right? And that she felt kind of like a sellout. I mean, the books were shitty anyway. Like, she, you know, whatever. They were like those Harlequin romances, you know. And so that was a, you know, an interesting subplot that made sense because the character being a lesbian was important, right? Like, it made sense like that. So that's a good story. But if you just insert certain demographics and things and narratives, like how many Nazi movies do we see every year? Well, it's part of an agenda to push a social, you know, to push a, you know, disinformation and like an attitude of Israeli people, the Zionists and Jewish people being victims all the time, right? Which, you know, there's a reason for it. Like, there's a conflict there. You know, there's things that these people have done over the years to provoke different things. I'm not talking about the stuff with the, you know, Nazism. I mean, that was its own separate thing. But I'm talking about historically. And so, you know, it keeps you from changing if you always think you're a victim, right? And so, you know, but let's go on. There's something else here.
Whoa.
I'm not surprised.
Dude, like,
I'm not surprised. Can I tell you? I had Josh Hammer on this show repeatedly, many times. And, you know, I'm pro-Israel. Like, I've been defensive of Israel. Not exactly Israel, but like of its right to defend itself. I haven't really been...
Yeah, that's your shill. We get it.
Zeroing in on their tactics and all the news over the past 2 years. It's just not what our show does. But in general, supportive of Israel and definitely defensive of American Jews subjected to anti-Semitism. And I had him on the show numerous times where we talked about those issues. I promoted his very crappy podcast.
Why would you do that? Why would you promote his very crappy podcast? Why would you promote anything that you thought was crappy? You're not helping him. You're screwing your audience over, right? You're disrespecting your audience. You know, I've talked about this quite a bit. You have a relationship with your audience. I have a relationship with you guys, right? Whatever it is. It's kind of a one-sided relationship because, like, I don't know who you are. You guys know who I am, right? Like, I know very little about, I've only met, like, probably 9 or 10 people who watch this show. You know, some people I might have known before, right? And so, I mean, other than my wife, none of the people I know very much about. You know, so you have a responsibility to your audience, right? If you're supposed to be a truther, then you tell the truth. If you're supposed to be a spiritual person, you tell, you know, whatever. Like, if you're not a spiritual person, but a spiritual path, like I said, you know, there's no spiritual people. Everyone's potentially spiritual. Like, but you're on a spiritual path or you're not. But, you know, telling the truth is, I mean, there's times like you might have to withhold information because of, you know, the community guidelines or whatever. You know, there's social things, whatever it might be. But to the best of your ability, you know, I mean, you tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Like, that's what a truther should do. Like, you know, you don't say, hey, watch Dave Smith's podcast when you know it sucks, right? Like, what you're betraying your audience. And this is kind of what this video is about. Like, this is what Charlie Kirk did. It's what Candace Owens is doing and has done. You're betraying your audience. Like, when you get caught fucking using an unreliable source like Mitch Snow, you don't tell your audience that we're all undergoing a psychological operation. Don't buy into it. It's like, it's like you got caught cheating on your audience and you're telling them, hey, like, hunker down, like it's a fucked up thing to do. It's a wrong thing to do, and it's disrespecting your audience, right? Like the one thing that you should do is be genuine and sincere with your audience. And again, it's it's harder for these people who have sponsors and all these things. I get that part, but then at least be genuine and sincere about that, right? And so, and the most important thing you could say to your audience is, you have to learn to think for yourself, and you have to change. That's what this is all about. Like, this is not about demonizing Erika, Kirk, or fucking Candace Owens, or any of these things, or or Israel, or Zionists, or the Democrats, or the liberals. It's none of those things are important. Like, oh, these are the bad guys and we're the good guys. Yeah, that's just what's made the world a shitty place, right? Oh, like let's all talk about the bad guys because we're the good guys. That fucking shit. Like, it's retarded and it's remedial and it's fucking. It's, it hurts everybody, right? What it should be is that we all have to change. Like, why are you expecting these people who are so much worse than you, if they are so much worse than you, then why are you focusing on them and not people who are better than you? Like, why are you looking down instead of looking up, right? So this is, kind of the centerpiece of this thing that I do here. Let's wrap this up.
For him many times, and then after literally I said nothing to anti-Semitism, and I had him on the show numerous times where we talked about those issues. I promoted his very crappy podcast for him many times, and then after literally I said nothing anti-Semitic, even arguably anti-Semitic, he was one of the first out there attacking me. Like, what the fuck?
Well, I just
yes, I agree. A snake.
So, to me, that's snake behavior. Like, if I was going to go on stage and say I'm disgusted to be on here with you, I guarantee you I'd have that energy in the green room with you too. To me, like, just as a man, that's just how you conduct yourself.
Yeah, of course you do. All right, so that's Josh Hammer. He was the first guy out there pitching his book, saying Charlie loved my book. Right? He was one of the people. So this is a fucking mess. Let's go to TPUSK here. Okay. So I wanted to show one particular video here today. I was interested in it. Proof Trump was right about tariffs. These are the new ones. An inside look at the pipeline of awesome coming soon from the, I don't know. This is Iran. So this has to do with, they got a bunch of shit of Iran. Trump administration kicks green freaks to the curb. Unearths video of Charlie Kirk's famous Hamas is terrorism. So they're actually putting this, they're trying to re-promote this stuff when Charlie Kirk had already moved away. We might as well take a look at that for a little bit. Charlie Kirk's epic last visit to Michigan State. And again, 11,000 views, 9,000 views. People are like done looking at Charlie Kirk. They have all these videos that they have unreleased videos and all these things. Erika Kirk likes to be in front of a camera. She tried to be on a reality show. She was all over the place promoting things. She was in those pageants. She was in music videos. She was an actress. She was in New York City trying to become famous. She was hobnobbing with all these people. And, we know what she is and what she's become. And so she really likes to be center of attention, although she's hiding now. 100 dead in Iran chaos that no one is talking about. The debate is over. Left versus right is good versus evil. And I think this is the one that they had, that's just, whatever it is. That's the one with ICE agent kills woman. We have proof the ICE protester death is Tim Walsh's fault. Another ICE encounter proves this is all intentional. And so these are all the stupid shit that they're putting out there, right? The left showdown with ICE is an orchestrated trap for MAGA. And these are the things that they're putting out. Then this other stuff with Iran. And they're really into Iran. Now, Charlie was against the Iranian bombing, and I don't know what their stance on this is. But you can see that they're getting no views. Like 3,000 views, 11,000 views, 9,000 views, 11,000 views, 18,000 views, 6,000 views, 11,000 views, 26,000 views, 14,000 views, 6,000 views, right? Let's look at this one. Proof that this is Tim Walsh's fault. So this is a 7-minute video, and I searched the transcript and I couldn't find Tim Walsh There's 6. It's found Walls 6 times, once in the title, 5 times in the comment section, none in the video itself, right? So they don't mention him at all in this video.
DHS rammings. There's none of that stuff. It's secure. The person has handcuffs on. They get put on a plane, processed, put back in their country of origin.
Then they bust
Remember what the Nazis tried to do.
They are the last living witnesses. This remnant of Israel, they're still here. There's still a final chapter to be
Yale Eckstein.
written.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for your service.
Chaya, whose name literally means the life of God. She was 12 years old when the
Okay. Are you claiming this woman is the life of God?
She was 12 years old when the Nazis came, and she escaped. It's people like Chaya that you can touch.
Through the international...
No thanks. So this is what they're pushing out on this thing.
Cities and states refuse to cooperate with federal law enforcement.
Okay, so they're just, they're getting people who kind of agree with them, because there are a lot of dumb fucks still out there, even though they're Candace Owen dumb fucks. They're still dumb fucks, that like this, that agree with this, this bullshit stuff about ICE, and they're, they still like Trump and this thing, but they have no audience. They're dead in the water. I don't know how much money they got for that ad. I don't know what's propping them up, and they're hoping that they have some resurgence, but everything's moving in the other direction. Erika's in fucking hiding. We'll take a look at her Instagram and her socials in a second. But, she's in hiding. And they have these guys, the two twinks, two beta males sharing one testicle, the low testosterone having dudes. Nobody likes them. And they're just, they got Charlie Kirk up there, but then everyone's like, why are you hijacking the show? I mean, this imploded. There's nothing to see here, right? There's a crater where Charlie Kirk's show used to be, right? Okay, so I went back into the video and searched. Sometimes when they do the transcription, they get the word wrong or they spell it wrong. And they did that with Walls. So I found Walls. They did say Tim Walls twice in the video. But they didn't use the word proof, which was in the title, and they didn't use the word fault, which was also in the title, right? So it's, kind of clickbaity because it is just, that's how it is. But this is what they said about Tim's Walls. So here's their one mention of Tim Walls.
Jacob Fry's hands. It's on Governor Tim Walz's hands. Period.
Period. I'm very heterosexual. Don't listen to people calling me the twink because it's not true.
This weekend, I'm sure you didn't notice, because I didn't either until I started show prep for today's show. Blake's laughing already. Golden Globes.
Golden Globes.
Cue laugh line.
Ooh, yeah.
Cue laugh track.
The thing besides the Oscar.
Cue laugh track. Or a Q laugh track, right?
Which you don't watch either anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a weird deal. When I was growing up, this was always like a huge deal. It was a huge press moment, and they've just completely fallen off a cliff.
Well, I think COVID ruined it. Really, is what it was. Well, woke stuff made it bad, but then COVID. It's just people don't go to as many movies, and now there's like Netflix movies that get awards.
Netflix movie. I'm so heterosexual. I don't know why people think I'm a twink. I don't know why.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. But one of the things that made news is because it's not about movies, it's not about entertaining people, it's about political activism and all these lefties that live behind their gated communities and their mansions.
Yeah, the fucking lefties. Fuck those lefties. Fuck those lefties.
In Beverly Hills and elsewhere. This is their opportunity to act like we're just one of you, we're just one of the people, we care about the little guy. So throw up 209. It's an image of that's going around. Ice out, be good. 209. We've got it. Another one here. 210. You're just seeing all these celebrities wearing the be good.
Oh my God! Like fucking them and their fucking pins. It's like they would never wear like a pin of like Trump, like a happy Trump, like Trump wears. these lefties and their liberal pins.
Sticker. Here's Mark Ruffalo, the communist actor who...
He's pretty communist, this guy. Fucking a communist.
Chimes in. 211.
No way. He's wearing it. Fuck that guy.
Be
fuck,
good.
Fuck this guy have a be good pin on his lapel.
It reminds me, those tweets you'll...
it's clip
is
211.
it a clip? Sorry.
Yeah, 211.
We're not ready for your twink one, twink two.
This is for the people in the United States who are terrorized and scared today. I know I'm one of them. I love this country, and what I'm seeing here happening is not America.
It's just not. It's not America. Mark Ruffalo he was in a recently good movie called Dark Water, but generally when he's in something, it's worse. Like he's very off-putting. He was in a show that was called Task on HBO, which was kind of a good show, but like he's an FBI agent. He's just not really that, right? He's just, I don't know why he's still hanging around, but he's not worse than the Twinks, though.
Mark, why do you feel that this platform is still useful to spread a message like this?
It's fucking not. Nobody wants to hear what celebrities has to think. I mean, it's over. That shit's way over.
I want to pretend like I want to be here to celebrate, and I am here to celebrate, and I'm proud to have a Golden Globe nomination. But also, this is not normal anymore. And so, I don't know how I can
Yeah, but it was normal when you were having men play women's sports. That you were okay with that shit, right? That new normal?
Quiet, and I'm feeling a little sick, so it's hard to BS right now. So.
It's hard to BS. It's hard for me to BS. I'm not BSing like I normally BS. Like people say stupid shit like this all the time. I promoted Josh Hammer's stupid podcast, his crappy podcast. Megyn Kelly saying that, and then him saying, I'm sick, so I can't BS like I normally BS. I can't bullshit the audience and you guys and talk about shit that like nobody fucking believes with Entertainment fucking Tonight, which is a waste of space. Like these people are admitting they sell themselves out all the fucking time.
Sounds like he's about to cry.
Well, he's
about to cry. Why is he about to cry? Why is he so sensitive?
I guess they're actors.
He's a beta male, and he's a total...
Really? These two beta males here.
He's a total floozy. I can't.
He's a total floozy. Is he a twink? Say he's a twink.
Stand this guy because he acts like he's so in touch with we the people at this grassroots level, where the be good. Listen, nobody is celebrating her death, Renee Good's death.
I think some people are celebrating it.
Nobody is, as far as I can tell. And yet you have Jasmine frickin' Crockett, this woman. This happened last week. We talked about it then. This is just insane. 197.
197, just insane in the membrane.
Remember when Charlie Kirk got killed? Do you?
Killed?
Do you remember what our response was? Our response wasn't to sit there and pretend like it was okay. Is it okay because you have a badge? Because the last time I checked, allegedly no one is above the law. Can y'all not just have a little bit of courage and humanity?
Oh, you're not going to fake cry. You're really crying for Renee Good? Seriously.
A child.
Oh, shit. You really went for it.
Dear God.
Dear God. All right. So, this shows you they're all fucked. Like, everybody's fucked in the head. Okay, so this unearthed video of Charlie Kirk's famous Hamas's terrorism is a video I just used to shit all over it, right? This video.
So who ran Gaza up until 2005?
Same thing.
No. Israel did.
Boom. Since he was at UConn, I showed you this clip earlier. And so, they've unearthed this clip. I unearthed it too. And it's not aging well, you dumb fucks, right? Your audience is already, they had guys on the show, like I said earlier, in their chapter saying they've lost the colleges. Israel has lost the colleges, and Charlie's job was to make sure Israel didn't lose the colleges. And you guys aren't going to go back. Are they even going back into the colleges? Like, they don't have anybody to do this, and if they did, there's no one going to show up for it, right? Like, their whole movement is fucking dead, and no one gave them a fucking memo. No one told you, like, hey, you guys are fucked, right? You guys have got a couple of twinks out there nobody likes. All right, the twinks, see if there's anything else I pulled up here. All right, so here's Erika J. Kirk. Planted seeds of gratitude last several weeks, exploring with my little ones, making soup for Nana with Chef Gigi. What I would give for a real one. What? A real one what? Like a... I'm trying to restrain myself from making a dildo joke here, which I just did. What I would give for a real one. I feel you with me always. Mama Lo still giving me her words of wisdom, best she can. Moments of overwhelming humility drenched in God's grace, making childhood memories, unexpected friendships, your voice and wisdom that continue to echo throughout the world, making heaven crowded.
You cleaned it for me?
Okay, I don't know if you should let a kid cut an onion at that age. There she is giving him a kiss. Way to go. I mean, there's nothing more satisfying than kissing a picture, and nothing weirder. I guess it's a painting. There she is. Look at him hoist up the American flag with her spectacular hair.
Holy Spirit, please, every one of you.
Oh, that's fucking gross. Legacy cemented 9/10/2025. Boom, who's that guy next to her? Is that her new lover? Look at, there's a kid fucking playing with a scooter. It's bullshit. There she is hugging.
You can't earn it. It doesn't matter if you're a good person. It doesn't matter if you have always done the best you can, because what's different about Christianity is that it's a gift for all of humanity.
Yeah, okay, bro. You're not real Christian, bro. Stop fucking playing, bro. But this is the one I want to show you. This is her most recent post. I'd rather be a foreigner in this world than a reflection of it. The most important lesson I've learned over the past year, this must be your kid walking, just started walk. The most important lesson I've learned over the past year is don't let anyone make you cruel. No matter how badly you want to give the world a taste of its own bitter medicine, it's never worth losing yourself. A friend sent this to me the other day, and I deeply loved it and thought it might encourage someone else to stay pure of heart. There's a cost to being uncommon. People will try to label you or put you in a box. Let them. Whatever accusations don't define you, obedience to Christ does. We are all sinners and fall short of the glory of God. Don't ever carry words that God never spoke over you. In what way are you a sinner? What sins have you committed? Why don't you list your sins for everybody? That may make them feel better about, themselves, and also maybe even you, if you're honest about your sins. She's doing the same victim-conscious bullshit that Candace Owens does. The reason why Candace Owens is being run right now is because she brought in, and she's fucking over her audience with this bullshit, and she brought in this non-credible guy in Mitch Snow, which I've talked about earlier in the video. And the reason Erika Kirk is getting run is because she faked grief, her fake grief. Endure hardship for the sake of the gospel, and the evil of this world will never break you. I promise. God gives you grace you need to touch each day. It is His strength, not yours. Rest in that. You answer to God, not to the noise. Yeah, that would be true if you didn't do that fucking bullshit stuff that you did, right? And then here.
Kind of political and cultural world you find yourself in, how do you make Christ a priority above all things?
Priority? How do you make Christ a priority?
Kind of do that as a Christian woman.
Was there a time in your life where you stepped back and said, okay, that was God, and you only could trust on Him? Yeah.
100%.
And every time that happened, did you find that faith muscle being stronger and stronger?
Yeah, that faith muscle. There's nothing better than that faith muscle.
Yeah.
So I relate.
She hasn't been getting a lot of faith muscle lately.
To you on that. So every day of your life, starting from when you're born until now, there is going to be moments that challenge that faith muscle that you have. The more that
you got to work on that faith muscle.
You recognize and notice that faith muscle is something that can be strengthened or weakened. It's up to you. God gave you free will. So if you're going to take every challenge that comes to you and you're going to look at it and...
All right, Jesus Christ. I'm glad she disappeared. Only if Candace Owens would do the same thing. All right, let me wrap this thing up here. I'll see if there's anything else in here that she has. There's Nicki Minaj. Show us all this kind of stuff. Here's this moment here.
Don't just attend AmFest.
Look at that. Like, look there. You know, it's the sparkles.
Let it mark you.
Let it, the mark of the beast. Let it mark of the beast. You know, there's all these memes about her being sparkly so soon after her husband's death. You know, she tried to wear the black, and then she wore the black and the white, and then she wore some weird shit like the green gown and whatever, and then she went with the sparkles. Sparkles! All right, Sparkles the clown. I was going to end the video there, but my wife, a video was recommended to her about a woman who's gone through Erika J. Kirk's Instagram, her stories here. And she came across this one. Let's see if I go. How do I go back here? Is there a way to go back? No. All right. If you could call yourself 5 years ago, 30 seconds call, what would you say? And then she goes through these various things here. Do yourself safer and now and stop drinking. Life's just about a journey. If your dreams don't scare you, then they aren't big enough. Don't try cocaine. If you could call yourself 5 years ago, age 30, few years ago, 30-second call, what would you say? Don't try cocaine. See what else she has here. Let July be July and let August be August and let yourself be. You're not a complete failure and will do cool things very soon. You'll be really good grieving. Move out of your apartment. It's poisoning you with Freon. It's worth the wait. Don't rush things. Trust his timing. God. Do not, well, here. She has some about Tina Fey. Do the thing and don't care if they like it. She's got Tina Fey. Focus on school, not boys. Create friendship to the last. It'll all work out how it should. It's all going to work out better than you can even imagine. Everything's going to be okay. So, if you would call yourself, love yourself more, Jesus Christ. Okay, to really understand how far back people are going to troll her, this is her stories here, right? And so this woman went through all these stories here. See, like this one and this one and this one. Right, she's got all these stories. When there's more here. I don't know when that story's from. I don't think it had a date on it. She went through all these things here. She's talking.
In the elevator, usually if I don't have a mask, I'm sometimes mask shamed, or they, like, if it's...
So that's 2020.
And the Word was with God. Fully
whenever that was masking.
I pray that you understand the weight.
So today...
So she's talking about how wearing a mask.
Anyway, the thing is...
That's going to cost me. So, here she is. So it doesn't say the date. Does it say the date somewhere here? So this is, you know, this is 332 weeks ago. Is that what that means? 415 weeks ago? Is that 410? I don't know. Fuck. So there's this one. That must be some kind of views or something like that. All right, so this is the original video it came from. This woman found this.
So this is a screen recording of me showing you guys Miss Erika Kirk's Instagram, where she is talking about if you could call yourself, 5 years from now and give yourself advice, what would you say? Don't try cocaine.
All right, so like that's how far she went back. That's how people are into trolling her. There's a lot of fucking weird shit in her stories and a lot of weird shit in her own listicle. There's actually a video where she talks about here. So this is 2021. I thought this was the thing. I was scrolling down and I didn't realize it was in the stories, right?
What I would tell myself, looking back, the one thing I would tell myself is do not confuse.
If you could call yourself 5 years ago and you had 30 seconds for the call, what would you say?
Your stillness with being stagnant, because I felt like I always had to be moving, or else I wasn't doing the Lord's work.
You know, the Lord's like, take a day off. The Lord's like, you know what? You can retire. Bro, you can retire.
Or if I wasn't traveling and meeting these people, or if I wasn't expanding my business in a certain way, or if I wasn't meeting these people, or if I wasn't going through my Rolodex at New Year's saying Happy New Year's to every single person. Don't do that, mind you. It's not worth it. But
it's just not worth it doing that. Okay. She doesn't mention the cocaine here. But, you know, that's the difference between me and these other people. Because there was a time where I used a lot of drugs. There was a time where I freebased cocaine using ammonia. Again, fucking, I mean, I don't even want to talk about it because I don't want to put any ideas out there, but certainly not recommending this. But, you know, I did cocaine. But when I was 25, I stopped drinking and using all drugs. You know, not because of any godly or spiritual thing, because I realized they didn't make me happy. In fact, there was always... You know, I would get the hangover, but I wasn't getting much fun or enjoyment out of them. It just wasn't for me. But, and then, of course, doing the spirituality, the Sajmark system, it's about being subtle. And drugs and alcohol fuck up the whole, your spiritual condition and set you back quite a bit. And, you know, they create deep impressions and they're just a nightmare. You know, it's really bad for you spiritually. But I had already given them up and, you know, I didn't really like them. I mean, other than certain times. But I can say that I did cocaine because you know, it's just like I can admit that I was a piece of shit. So why, you know, you know, why not say what I did or whatever? But these people can't, right? She has an audience, like, you know, occasionally they can have someone come out and say they're being redeemed. But she was just hanging out with New York type people, with people who weren't godly. And she was in the business and these, you know, partying with fucking country music stars and all these people, whoring herself out there, being a whatever she was, right? A beta kitten. And then, you know, cocaine is a part of that. And so it's an image she doesn't want out there. But she left it up on her Instagram. And this kind of just shows you. It's just they're all so fucking fake. They're all whatever they are. There's one more thing I want to get to. I have to scroll down to do it, but I feel like if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. This isn't it, but let's look at it.
People lose someone they love. Oftentimes they say, I can still talk to them. Yeah. Do you still talk to Charlie?
I'll get home. It's late at night. I'll be getting ready for bed in the bathroom.
Remember how bad this was? There'll be a part where we'll revisit this. So down here, she talks about soulmates. Somewhere around that video I showed you. And it is fucking... She has a kid talking about soulmates. I think it's much further than this. You know, like this is a fucking... the thing that she's doing here is a mess. But the fact that people are going such an extent to find shit on her and troll her. And I think this might be it. Oh, that's just creepy. It's just everything's so fucking weird about her.
It's one of those things too. I mean, people.
It's not that. I should have opened it somewhere else because I might not be. Well, now I've kind of committed to finding it. Or this is the one I showed you.
Our God is a God of order, and there's a reason why there is a husband and a wife.
And there's a reason why you fake grieve. That isn't the one I found. This is brutal.
What is love? I suppose the most misused word in all the English language is the word love.
It's the word love. It's a misused word alone. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this fucking thing. Okay, so I found it. So they got all this stuff here. This is one that must have been the one they got married. There's her in some fucking posing, like just fucking, you know, fucking fake bullshit stuff that she does. There she is with her ripped jeans and her fake smile and all this stuff. But here it was right here. So, you know, I'm looking for this thing, the cocaine thing. I didn't know it was in her story. So I had to scroll all the way down to 5 years ago. I didn't quite make it. Then I realized it's probably not here. And I kind of realized when I watched the video that she was going through her stories. But this thing is classic.
What's a soulmate?
It's, well, it's like a best friend, but more.
What's a soulmate? Holy shit. All right. So this is so fucked. Like, these are what they're pushing out there. Of course, Erika J. Kirk is, she's just a piece of shit. Okay, so today is still Wednesday, January 14th. Tomorrow I'm taking off. It is getting, we got a crazy, it was pretty warm this morning, but windy. And the temperature just dropped. We got snow for about 2 hours. Light snow, but blizzard-like winds. I just went outside with my wife. We walked around. My face is numb. It's like fucking getting crazy cold. We had a kind of month and a half long, a month where it was fairly warm outside. It got up to the 60s some day, 40s most day, but now it's, going to get into the teens and whatever. So we might go to war with Iran. I haven't been paying too much attention to the news, and I really hoping that it can wait another day because of this video. I want to get this video done. This video is going to go up with, it's going to be a part of the Journey series. These last two videos, I just felt there's a lot of good stuff that belongs in the Journey series, so I'm going to put them back to back in the, the 244th edition of the Journey series. So I want to say, something about the year of accountability. So, I've been putting up content on my Apocalypse Now channel, and I just put up a video about how we had a mystery egg, and we were trying to figure out which new hen laid it, and then we put a trail cam in there, and we found the photos, and we found out which one, and I dropped the follow-up video. And there's stuff like that going up on the backup channel. I also did a follow-up on those stuff with Will Smith. I posted a video on Will Smith, and I'm going to do a follow-up, with that guy, Brother Bilal. He's back shitting on the Smiths. So he's pretty funny, that guy. And I was thinking about that, how, I covered three people, three of my sort of, I don't want to call them targets, but people that, popped up on my radar screen were Will Smith, Tom Hanks, and Ellen, right? And they were people who were celebrities that were always considered like the good guys, right? They got the 80% approval rating. Ellen was the be kind lady, and all these people were considered sort of the cream of the crop in Hollywood in terms of their character qualities, positive people, never getting into any personal scandals, sort of being above the fray. And this is back in 2014. And I always found them somewhat off. There was stuff I didn't, realize, but there was just something I'm like, yeah, that's weird, right? And so early on when I started to cover celebrity stuff, I made videos about all three of them. And Will Smith, there was, everyone in Hollywood knew that he was having an affair with some guy. He was like bisexual or gay. He had a beard marriage, and multiple people talked about it. Dwayne Martin, I believe the guy's name was, Brother Bilal said he walked in, and Dwayne Martin was, banging Will Smith from behind. He said he was murdering him. He walked in on it, right? And then there was Ellen, who just something creepy about her and almost looked like a little gremlin. And then there was Tom Hanks, who, made that weird video with Jimmy Kimmel where he pretended to be a toddlers and tiaras type of, dad. And that was a weird thing. And he said a bunch of stuff. I've showed you the memes. And I started to cover all three of them. And, they weren't these be kind people. They weren't these nice people. They all had weird skeletons in their closet. And, Will Smith had even said in his YouTube channel, and he started copywriting everything, because I posted a bunch of I have memes of him, but he started copywriting it. And he had this one, monologue where he said, this personally crafted, and he went on long, rant about himself. This image of Will Smith, this character of Will Smith is a fraud, it's a lie, right? Which, we kind of all knew by that time. And so, I was thinking about it that Tom Hanks is more or less disappeared. Like he had to, the rumors about him being a pedo and all the things that came out. And of course the Cubies did it in a heavy-handed way, but I was there way before them, 10 years before QAnon even existed. And, he had to make a video. He had to make a movie where he saved some young girl from child trafficking, like in the West, just to sort of reverse that image. But he's been nothing. He's been did more or less disappeared. Like you don't see very much with Tom Hanks anymore. He's gotten older, but it's clear that his image has been tarnished. Of course, he's got the weird son and all that. And his wife seems to be a real devil worshiper. She was in a lot of weird shit herself. So that got disappeared. Now we see what's happened to Will Smith, a disaster with his wife, the Chris Rock debacle, and now all this stuff coming out about him being gay, like that caught up to him. And then Ellen was out and out canceled, right? And, I was thinking about how, like, I don't think it had anything to do with me, just the fact that I, attended to it and I created some of this stuff that, some of the, whatever, like my videos got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. I mean, all the videos collectively got millions of views. That's back when my channel was watched a lot more. And so, but I don't think it had, I don't believe that I'm connected to their downfall. Just that I noticed something was off and now it's come out. Like, nobody escapes shit, right? Like it's, they were these people who were given the primo narrative. Like they're the impeachable, most trusted Hollywood celebrities. And they all, they've all taken a beating and they're no longer that. Now, no one went to jail and, other than some personal embarrassment, but, there's still some, level of, like a divine accountability, right? And I don't know if any of them should go to jail. I don't know if anything they did was criminal. There's nothing really to prove that it was criminal. But what they did do was, I guess Ellen's girlfriend died in almost like some Illuminati sacrifice, and her career took off after that. She came up with this comedy bit about, why would God save a fly but kill her lover? Like it was, she did it in a different way, and she got on Johnny Carson because of that bit, and her career took off after that. And so, she credits that, tragedy with her rise into fame. But, and I don't know if she had anything to do with her death, just that there was a lot of coldness on her part, and they had a fight, and she drove by her girlfriend's car, the car she was in on her way home, and then later found out she was in it and dead, all this stuff. And so, I covered all that. But, there's nobody gets away with anything. Like everything is accounted for. If there is a God, then there is an accounting system. There is, accountability and there's culpability. And it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of, when it happens. It's not if, it's a when. And so, in all that, this stuff, like, we don't have to be all that concerned about it because unless your job is to bring justice, you're some kind of investigator, bringing the truth to light. We've seen over and over again that nothing really happens from stuff that's exposed in the truth community. People know things but don't do anything about it. And, the powers that be have more and more realized this. This goes back to Bill Clinton when he banged an intern in his office, which was something he should have resigned for, and he just said, no, I'm not resigning. And Trump has pushed this farther, as has all the presidents since since Clinton. They've all done more and more, and they realize they can get away with all these things. And, criminals will push the limit, and bullies will push the limit until somebody stands up to them, and there's no one to stand up to them. There's going to be a thing where, I saw the premiere of Greenland, which I'll cover in maybe the title of my next video, where he said, they basically try to notify him by email, hey, America owns Greenland. Like fucking, the guy who's in charge of Greenland, the guy who's whatever the governor or president or whatever that position is. And America just emailed them, say, hey, we own it now. Like that's how fucked this thing is, how fucked Trump is, and how, all these things that are happening. And so, in this stuff with Charlie Kirk and in this stuff with Israel and all these other things, bad things are done, but there's always consequences for those things. And you see people getting away with things and you're like, well, I should do that too, or, I want to get away, whatever it might be. But in reality, like all these things, the chickens always come home to roost. Not always, but most of the time. Occasionally get a dumb chicken, but the consequences always come home to roost. That's 100% of it, right? There's no getting away with something that your soul always has to pay. Your future, you're screwing your future version of yourself over in things that you're doing now. And I know that to be 100%, factual for myself. I can't prove it to you all, but it's there. I've experienced it in I don't know how they put that way that they say it with complete certainty. And, I think everybody experiences these things. Everything comes back around. And not like in a necessarily a consequence. I mean, you can look at it, it's like more of a cause and effect type situation. You do this, and then this thing happens later on. And so, and all those things that happen later on, if they get delayed, it's worse for you because you're carrying that around with you. You're carrying the guilt or the, whatever it is that you're, all the mistakes, all the regrets, all the, it's better to have the consequences sooner than later. So you feel unburdened by, your mistakes or whatever. So spiritual people, they experience these things quicker, whereas people who have a shit ton of consequences, they can only experience so many at a time. So it's, their whole life is consequences. And, just the feeling, the way it is to be them, these people that everyone, hates, the elite, but the way it feels to be them is like horrible. And so, in this thing with Charlie Kirk, it's obvious that, the guy was a POS because, of his ambition or whatever it was. And, his death is not a tragedy. I mean, there's no death that's really a tragedy. I mean, if he was a godly person, he would be going to heaven, or whatever it is that you go, and I don't, the way that Christianity sells you heaven isn't a true thing. It's a lot harder to get there, or at least be liberated from having to come back to earth is, it's not like that's all that hard, but very few people do it. And so it's, to my understanding, it is, it's something that people can do if they want it, but most people don't want it. How many people really, given the opportunity, would choose to come back to earth, even before they die? Maybe as they get older, their body keeps on is going, and they're really in a miserable state. They're in pain all the time, emotional pain, and and then they like, oh, I wouldn't want to come back. But then they think about if someone came along with the fountain of youth and could make them young again, they would choose that. So, most people don't want to get up out of here, right? They're just, only when things go bad. But even then, there's some idea of wanting to enjoy things again, and whatever it is. And so there's all of that as well. The other thing I just want to say briefly here, there's Trump's going for a regime change in Iran. He's doing Israel's bidding as usual. I don't know if that'll mean troops on the ground or what's going to happen, more strikes or whatever. But regime change doesn't work. As bad as the government is in Iran, and it's pretty bad, it's regime. I mean, the reason we have that shitty government there is because America did regime change of a good leader in Mossadegh, who wasn't willing to work with them in terms of the oil prices, the split of the oil. British Petroleum was getting 80% and Iran was getting 20%, and he wanted a 50-50 split. So the CIA took him out, and then now we have what we have, right? That's a perfect example of, don't fuck around with other people's countries. And it's evil to do so, right? And these are all things that are going to come back on America. Like, America will suffer because of our leadership, whether we're a part of it or not. So these are, like I said, the consequences are there. Anyways, let me wrap this one up here, and I'll continue on. Well, I guess I'm ahead of the game. I'll do maybe some different things tomorrow. I'll start my video for Saturday, but anyway, you get the idea. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paramount, definitely praying for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.